Hello everyone, it's that time of the year again. For the fourth time I'm sharing my desk setup for studies and creative work. I've linked most of the products in the description and I put timestamps for the different segments in this video. That's all you need to know, so let's get into it. First of all, let's take a look at the environment. The desk is placed in this corner of the room, but not completely against the wall, to give my eyes some space and to more easily access some cables. Except for the natural light, the workspace is primarily lit with the ceiling lamp, but there's also a warm light on the desk that just happened to fit very well on the monitor stand. Finally, there's also a whiteboard to the left of the setup, where I can take quick analog notes, sketch something out, or pretend to lecture. The desk is motorized, so I switch between standing and sitting pretty frequently, and for the standing mode I have an anti-fatigue mat, which makes standing more comfortable. I don't know which particular desk or chair I have, but they're quite generic, so you can find similar alternatives that will work just as well. I think I've finally figured out my monitor situation. I'm still using a 4K panel from Samsung and a 1080p panel from Asus, both 27 inches. They're now both in landscape mode, and I sit right in front of this crisp panel most of the time. I don't use the second monitor as often, and it's clearly not as good as the main one, but it's sufficient for occasional use. I've seen some good deals to upgrade this weaker monitor, but as an epic minimalist, I try to not buy what I don't actually need. I'll get back to how I use the monitors when we go through the software. Another thing worth mentioning is that I used to tape the shin of these monitors, and some other products, with black tape, so that I wouldn't see the text. I thought it looked better that way, but I figured I would remove the tape for this video to shout out the products and to reconsider my stance on this tape issue. The PC case, however, had some old looking text and colorful logos that are still covered up. I've placed the computer behind the monitors, because that's where there is room for it, and it also helps with some cable management. I'll just show you the specs as well, but to me this is the least interesting thing in a setup. As I've said before, it's powerful enough to run a Premiere Pro playback in 1/8 of the original 4K resolution. Although I can't see the buttons and the ports, I've learned where they're located, and the Bluetooth receiver helps me navigate. Speaking of the receiver, let's talk peripherals. The Logitech Duo has become a Logitech Trio with this desk mat. My brother told me to get me one, and it does the job. I'm still using the MX keys. I've gotten used to it and the customization it offers. I did buy a mechanical keyboard, the Keychron K2. It was a discount and will eventually need an extra keyboard for the setup in the studio. I didn't buy it just because. That would not be minimalistic. It was the first mechanical keyboard I tried, and I liked it. The feel, the sound, and it was a luxury to go back and forth between these keyboards. But the MX keys works more fluidly for me, and in all situations. I don't always want that typewriter sound, especially when I'm in calls. So the K2 has moved to my brother's setup. Let us know if you want a video on that, and comment if you prefer low-profile membrane keyboards or mechanical keyboards. There might be a discussion about keyboards, but there is no doubt that one of the best computer mice out there is the Logitech MX Master 3. Hear me out. I think this mouse is overrated, but still really good. It tops virtually all lists of best productivity mice, and I see why. The design and the features on this thing are good. But I have experienced software issues with it, although that seemed to go away with some updates. In terms of hardware, I find it ergonomic, but the fabric is reportedly wearing down fast. So, although it's pricey, and perhaps too highly praised, it's still a pretty good productivity product. But keep in mind that the mouse won't do the work for you. Equipment can only get you so far. There's also a classic Logitech web camera resting on this thicker monitor. And when I want more professional audio, I'll connect a Blue Yeti. This microphone moves between the studio and the setup, and is the one I'm using for recording this audio right now. The headphones are from Rig. This was a leftover pair, so I figured I would try them. And I like how they feel. They're quite airy, and they sound good, I guess. I'm not doing audio on a professional level, so headphones doesn't really matter to me. I can hear things from them. And on the summers I switch to earphones anyway, because it can get quite warm. Then there is a laptop, the Huawei MateBook 14, with a custom holographic sticker. Shout out to the artist Andreessen Art on Instagram and to Sticker Mule for printing these. This is the main computer I use when I'm not at the setup. It's the one I take to university campus, to the summer house, and whenever I'm out doing work. I mostly use it for writing, so I didn't need the Core i5 processor for that, but it was a good deal, and it's nice for the occasional CAD and video editing I'll do. I also like the more square 3:2 aspect ratio screen. As for the non-tech peripherals, we got some camera equipment, or I guess there is electronic involved, but I only use these leftover lenses as decorations. This is a trick for decorating bookshelves and setups. Place items on books. In this case, I think that makes the lenses more organized, as opposed to if they were just floating around, and I especially like that this one has red edges. Next to that, there's a plant. I can change this item based on the season, but now it's this green plant's turn, as the snow has melted away. I have one more decorative item, and that's the picture hanging above the workspace. I used to swap pictures every now and then, but since I made this teardown on my first phone, the Samsung Galaxy 5, and framed it, it has stayed there. Now, onto the accessories. I often have my phone, the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, on the desk as well. I'm making an Android setup video after this setup video, so if that's something that interests you, stay tuned. I keep a notebook for physical notes, often to write down the picture files I want to select on a computer. Please tell me if you know a more efficient method for that. And to accompany the notebook, I built a domino-themed desk organizer that's customized for the very accessories I use. It has place for a ruler, a rotating tactile pen, a permanent pen, and a stylus pen. It also stores my card ejector wallet, wireless earbuds, microfiber cloth, clock, eraser, adapter, and SD card reader. And on top of that, it has an inbuilt coaster. Whenever I can craft an item that would make sense to build in Lego, that's what I'm going for. And we can see that in my Lego phone stand, which I occasionally use. And when it's not in use, I store it on this cable channel. And that's a smooth transition to reviewing my cable management. I have attached the cable channel on the short side of the desk, because that's where most of the cables are centered, and because that gives me accessible space to store a phone stand, a cable to transfer files, the switch for the lamp, an audio jack extension cable, and headphones themselves. Here we can also see that I've attached my single charging cable to a Velcro band, and that also explains the empty space on the desk here. This is the charging station, where I can charge tech and drop other items. On the other side of the cable channel, we find a 3 TB external hard drive and additional power outlets, all whilst organizing the clutter, so I really made the most out of this cable channel. In last year's setup video, I made a comment that Chef Ramsay wouldn't like the spaghetti cluster of cables I used to have. And that still kinda applies here, but it's more neatly managed now, with the cable sock and the cable box. Now I think it would say something like... Okay, 2 things please. Setup, yeah right, it's amazing. Just need a touch of seasoning in there, it's still a bit raw. I almost forgot to mention, but there's also a small trash can attached to the desk with this magnetic connection. Now, let's have a quick look at the software. I have a collection of Lego wallpapers that I've made, and you can download it for free using a link in the description. On the taskbar we got some mostly familiar apps. Send Anywhere is for transferring smaller files quickly. This is a Lego CAD program, and here is the Amazon Kindle app for ebooks. Most of the work I do is done through a browser. Google Chrome is my browser of choice, although I'm currently trying out Microsoft Edge as well. But this is the window I'm greeted with when I open it up. There are many videos I can make about the software here, the apps and the services I use, but the most important ones are Notion, an all-around note-taking service and the centerpiece of my workflow, Clockify for tracking time, and some other popular apps that you probably recognize. Chrome extensions are a central part of my browsing as well, and the best ones are Clipped for syncing copied text between devices, Unhook for removing YouTube distractions, such as the recommended feed, and some additional extensions to maximize the usage of Notion. I almost always work in split screen mode, and in order to quickly manage my windows, I've installed Display Fusion, which allows me to set the command of moving a window to a certain position depending on the key I pressed on the keypad paired with Control. I can even work in 4 windows for certain tasks, and if I need more than that, or if I'm in a full screen app and need additional windows, I will power on the other monitor. The setup doesn't feature any external speakers, so when I want to play something aloud, I can only do that from the inbuilt speakers in that monitor. This desk setup isn't very different from the 2022 version, and that's intentional because a desk setup can only do so much for your productivity. I feel like I've reached a point where it's sufficient and actually quite optimized for the things I do. I don't feel the need to further upgrade it, and especially not by spending money on fancier items. I wrote a bit about this and also made a video about how to make a desk setup, but the key takeaway is to not get trapped in materialism. Let's be grateful for even having a desk setup, and let's turn it into a place to get some job done and to create some cool stuff. And that's an overview of the setup for early 2023. There were a lot of things that I didn't cover that I could talk about, so if you have any questions, just ask away and I'll reply. You can share your desk setups with me on Instagram at Domino Development, or you can write something in the YouTube comment section and we can stay in touch. Thank you for watching and peace out.